Hello, all. Welcome to the last synchronous session for this semester. Today, I am going to go over what's going to be on the final, how the final is going to happen, when it's going to open, when it's going to close. We're going to discuss the final today. That's mainly what I want to do. For those who end up joining the session, if you have any questions, you can ask me regarding what we did this week. But otherwise, that's what I'm going to do. Discuss the final. That's the agenda for today. So let me share my screen. Okay, so let's begin with the topics that we covered throughout the semester. The final is comprehensive, so it's going to include a lot of the topics that were covered pre-midterm also. So let's go over this list of topics that we covered, then I'll tell you what kind of questions you can expect on the final, right? So let's begin with number one. We began with introduction to supply chain. That was week one. Then we did supply chain financial metrics. This is where we did, say return on equity, return on assets, the cost to cost cycle, and all the other things that we covered. So that was supply chain financial metrics, right? That was the second topic that we covered. The third topic that we covered was basic network models. So this is where we covered the transportation model, transshipment model, right? We covered that. That was week 3, if I remember correctly. And then for a few weeks after, we looked at capacitated facility location model. I'm going to say network design. This is just a list of all the topics that we covered so far. So in this, we covered capacitated facility location. We covered facility location with single sourcing. Remember, this is the model where, if you remember, we did one of the examples that I did in one of the synchronous sessions was a model for supply chain consulting. It was the problem number 1, chapter 4. That's where you have offices, you have consultants going out of offices to different states where consultants are required. And one of the problems in the model was that each state could be assigned to one office only. You could not split all the trips to a state between multiple offices. So that's where you were doing single sourcing. So a single point of demand, all the demand at a single point had to be satisfied from a single source. But a single source could satisfy demand from multiple places. But if you had 2 states assigned to, say, one of the offices, then all the trips to both states had to be made out of the same office. So facility location with single sourcing, and then we did facility facility and warehouse location model. I should say factory and warehouse location model. So complex capacitated facility location, however you want to call it. that was what we did in chapter number, I think this is chapter 4 or 5. I don't remember exactly. I think chapter 5. I think this is chapter 5. Then we did decision trees. So in the decision tree model that we did, we specifically looked at a binary variability. That is, there are only two options for variability, that demand goes up and demand goes down, or demand goes up and demand stays the same, or price goes up, price goes down, price goes up, price stays the same, or exchange rate goes up, exchange rate goes down. So binary variability is what we looked at. And also we looked at only 2 points of uncertainty. If you do more than 2 points of uncertainty, it becomes way more complex than what we did. So we did binary variability, and we looked at variability in demand, price, and exchange rates, right? Demand, price, and exchange rate. So we looked at all of that. So this is all the topics that we covered pre-midterm. Okay. So I'm just gonna use a different font for this. It's too light. Let's go a bit dark. Yeah, that's better, right? Now, everything after, I'm going to use a different font, but we'll do that later. So this is midterm. Let me just. I don't know why I'm spending time on this. Sometimes I can't help myself. There you go. All right, midterm. Now, next, the topics that we covered post midterm. We did inventory management exclusively post midterm. So we did 6 weeks of inventory management. We did the first thing that we did was the first thing that we did. This was chapter 11. I think officially we called it EOQ, POQ models. I think chapter 11. Do I have the textbook open? I don't think I have the textbook open. Let me open that up. Right. So we did chapter 11 first. So chapter 11 was cycle inventories. So chapter 11 is cycle inventories. By cycle inventory model, we mean inventory models where you everything happens in cycles, obviously. So you're talking about inventory management that happens on a continuous basis rather than on a seasonal basis, which is what we did with chapter 13. So in cycle inventory models, you have, say, restaurants or businesses like Walmart and all of these places which continuously sell the same item. So they have to keep refreshing their inventory. So those are cycle inventory models. In cycle inventory models, we looked at, the basic stuff, which is EOQ, production lot sizing. I guess I called it POQ. Then we had quantity discount models. Right. So after that, we looked at what happens when you aggregate inventory. So we did inventory aggregation models. Right. We also, so in chapter 11, so apart from doing the basic production lot size, so EOQ model, the production lot sizing model, we didn't do lot sizing with capacity constraints, so I'm not going to do that. So we did aggregating multiple models into a single order, and then we did tailored sourcing. So if you have multiple orders that are ordered So do you deliver them jointly? Do you deliver them over time? So we did lots are ordered and delivered jointly, and we looked at some of those models there. Quantity discounts for commodity products. We didn't do any of that. Volume-based quantity discount. I guess we did some of this, but that's really we didn't do any of the multi echelon inventory models at all. So I'm definitely not going to use that. So yeah, so we did tailored sourcing. So this is lot sizing for multiple products. So this is, yeah, so this is where your products that are ordered more often, some products that are not ordered very often. Do you order the same number of items every time, or do you do order them all at once? Do you do them separately? Do you do tailored sourcing? So there were three different sub ideas that we saw. So that was a cycle inventory model. So this was chapter 11. So one thing about cycle inventory models is that cycle inventory models answer the very important question of next time you place an order, how much should I order next time? Next time you place an order, how large should that order be? That's what all cycle inventory models are mainly about. You're calculating the optimal order quantity in different scenarios. It could be a single product, it could be multiple products, aggregated products. So the question is, how much should you be ordering? That is what all the cycle inventory models were about. That was chapter 11. And then we did move on to chapter 12, which was safety stock models. Now, the idea behind safety stock models is that you need safety stocks when demand is variable. In all of these cycle inventory models, we assume that demand is not variable, and it works in the cycle inventory models, because even in real life, if demand is variable, till you place an order, you sort of have a steady demand. But once you place your next order and you're waiting for your order to arrive, that's when where variability in demand plays a role. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about variability in demand. So that is where the safety stock models come in. So in the safety stock models, safety stock models are answering the question, at what inventory level do we reorder? Or another way of asking this question is, when do we order next, right? How much do we order and when do we order next? And the answer to when do we order next is, at what level of inventory do we order next? So that's what safety stock models are about. Just all a bit too close to each other. I'm just gonna. Within safety stock models, we looked at calculating safety stocks when demand is variable, demand during lead time. We talked about the concept of lead time. Variable demand, reorder, lead time, and reorder point. The concept of lead time and reorder point, and then the reorder point when there is variable demand during lead time. And then you also look at cases where lead time itself is variable. You have models where the lead time is fixed, but demand is variable. Then you have models where demand and lead time are both variable, right? Let's move on to chapter 11, sorry, chapter 12. So we looked at factors affecting safety inventory. Demand variability, demand uncertainty. We saw that evaluating demand distribution over L periods. We did all of that. appropriate level of safety inventory. Right, so the idea of cycle service level, we learned about that. So cycle service level and fill rates. So let me. Cycle service level and fill rate. These are two concepts that we learned in this chapter. And then the reorder point, when calculating reorder point when you have variable demand during lead time requires a cycle service level. We calculate it based off of the cycle service level and variable demand. And then we also looked at impact of uncertainty on safety inventory. So impact of aggregation on safety inventory, right? So we looked at impact of aggregation on safety inventory. So that was what we did. This was week 13. This is what we did during week 13. Safety stocks, I guess. Okay, so that was chapter 12. Everything that we did in chapter 12. And then finally we did seasonal inventory management. Right, so this is, so chapter 6 and 7 deal with managing inventory that happens on a continuous basis. Chapter 13, point number 8 here, is talking about managing inventory that happens, inventory for demand that occurs in a season. And at the end of the season, you just have to salvage the items that you have. You cannot sell them anymore. So in this case, we looked at the news vendor model. That's a basic news vendor model. Right. So we looked at basic news vendor model. So we looked at news vendor models with quantity discounts. We looked at the news vendor model when demand is obviously variable. That's the difficult part here. We looked at demand. We looked at two ways of modeling demand variability. We looked at discrete demand distribution and normal demand distribution, where we assume that demand is normally distributed or demand has a discrete distribution. We looked at both of those cases. Then we looked at news vendor model with quantity discounts, right? And then we looked at a need for speed. So this is a quick response, where instead of making a single order, you make multiple, or you make 2 orders in a season. So quick response model. We did not do the other models in chapter 13. We did not do postponement, which is also an interesting model, but we did not cover that. So I'm not going to make that part of the final exam. So these are all the topics that we covered on the final exam, right? Oh, sorry, during the semester. I might have missed 1 or 2 things here, but if I missed something, that doesn't mean it's not part of the syllabus. If we covered anything in class, that's part of the syllabus. For those who are here, if I missed something and you know of it, please let me know and I'll add it to the list, right? Now, a few things. Now, everything that we covered post midterm, I'm likely going to ask you a question pertaining to it one way or the other in the final exam. Now, let's begin with what are the topics from the beginning of the semester that are pre-midterm that are going to be on the final. I'm not going to ask you any questions based off of intro to supply chains. Oops. I'm not going to ask you any questions based off of supply chain financial metrics either. I'm not going to ask you any questions based off the basic network models. We've done a lot of that. Now, supply chain network design, I'm not going to ask you factory and warehouse location models, but basic and slightly more interesting capacitated facility location model. Let me see. So capacitated facility location and capacitated facility location with single sourcing, that there will be a question based off of that. on the final exam. Now, decision trees. Let's see. Did I include decision trees? One quick look. Give me a second. I have this written down somewhere. Okay, no, so decision trees are also not going to be on the final exam. Let me share my screen again.
Professor, did you mean to stop sharing the screen?
I did.
Okay.
I was looking up the final exam so that
Got it.
I'm not going to show you that. Okay, yeah. So I'm not going to ask you decision trees either. It's fine. No, I think we did enough with the decision trees. So no decision trees, but capacitated. So I guess it's basically just capacitated facility location from pre-midterm that's going to be part of the final exam, right? But there will be questions based off of all the different inventory models that we covered. So what is the final exam going to look like, right? Let's go to the next page. The final exam will open on, well, it's not going to be this weekend. Next Monday is the last one. So 6 days from now is officially the last day of class. I'm not allowed to give you an exam before that. So it'll be the weekend after that, right? So that is going to be quickly. Is there a calendar here? Oh, there's no calendar here. All right, so calendar. Right. So today is the 26th. The last day of classes is on Monday, the 2nd. And so our exam will begin on the 6th and it will end on the 9th. It'll go from 6th through the 9th, right? Usually Friday through Monday. That's how I do it. And that's how I'm going to do it this time. So exam will open on 6th May, on May 6th. On Friday, May 6th. And end on Monday, May 9th. Okay, that's the first point. Next exam will be six hours. Again, I'm going to give you 6 hours. You're not going to need the 6 hours. Just like the midterm, I just want to be on the safe side and give you enough time for you to tackle all the questions. In case you get stuck on a point, I want you enough time to think through it. So final exam will be 6 hours long. Okay. Now, so what's going to be on the final exam exactly? So there'll be one question on capacitated facility location. There'll be one question on cycle inventory models. And cycle inventory models. There'll be one question on a product aggregation on a multiple product, what do we call it? Lot sizing for multiple products. One question on safety stock models. Safety stock, right? So one question on the news vendor models. And quick response. Now, I might make, this might be 1 to 2 questions on safety stocks. I'm going to see how the question gets framed. It's very like I might either split it as 2 separate questions or combine them and make it a single question. But there'll be 1 to 2 questions on safety stock because we did some basic safety stock models and we also did some aggregation and the impact of aggregation on safety stock models. So I might split it as 2 separate questions or combine them into a single. You'll find that out when the exam happens. So approximately, you will notice that it's 6 questions, 6 hours long. So approximately an hour a question if you take the whole time. That's it. So a few things keep in mind. Don't start the final. Again, these are the same things, same instructions I gave you for the midterm. Till you're ready. Till you're ready, make sure computer is plugged in and your internet is working. Because once you begin the exam, you'll have exactly 6 hours to finish it. So you can start at any point in time during those 4 days, but once you begin, you'll have exactly 6 hours to finish it. So given that that's the case, you should not, you should have the 6 hours ready till you're ready and have 6 hours available. But don't expect to finish the exam early and not budget enough time. I've had this happen to students. Don't fall into that trap. Make sure that you have 6 hours available. Make sure that your computer is plugged in and your internet is working. Right. Now, all my exams are open book, open notes, as you know. There's nothing I can impose from here. So any Excel files that I put up online or any documents that I put up online, they're all fair game. You can download them and you can use them for your final exam. If you have, right. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. This is going to be the final, the last synchronous session. We are not going to meet one-on-one as a whole class, but in case any of you have any questions, you can either email me or we can set up a one-on-one Zoom session where we can meet, because I will be traveling and I won't be able to meet anybody in person after basically tomorrow. So that's pretty much it. So I will post this document on Canvas, so you have exactly what's going to happen. I know 6 hours long, so let me just put it this way. Okay. Once you begin your exam, you'll have 6 hours to finish it. And there you go. All right, let me save this file. I'm going to upload it online. Final exam instructions. In the meantime, for those who are here, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. Hang on. If somebody's talking, I can't hear you. Oh, it's like neither of you are talking. That's okay.
I had a question, but I'll email it to you. I can't remember it right now.
Okay, that's fine. It's not a problem. Okay, so well, thank you all for a great semester, and I hope you learned something in this class that'll be useful when you got into the workplace. But again, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, feel free to do the teaching evaluation at the end. That's always helpful for me. But other than that, if I don't see you or talk to you again, have a good summer, and have a good rest of your MBA. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and stop recording.